Welcome back to the White Gray Black Weekly Manga Podcast. My name is Bruce, the producer of the White Gray Black YouTube channel. With me again this week is Shonen Master Extraordinaire, Gautam.
What's up?
This is a weekly manga book club where we talk about all the latest and greatest Japanese manga. This week, we're going to have a nice quick one talking about Weekly Shonen Jump versus Weekly Shonen Magazine. And yes, those are two different things, and they are vastly different. Hey, if you're listening to this podcast or watching this video, give us a like or subscribe. We appreciate it. Let's hop right into the discussion. Weekly Shonen Magazine and Weekly Shonen Jump. Gautam, tell me, when you think Weekly Shonen Jump, what's the first thing that hops into your mind?
One Piece.
Yes,
yeah,
you
just
and
One
millions
Piece,
of other people.
One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto. That's what pops into my mind because that was the popular stuff. That was when I was like at that age range. That was the popular stuff. Mm-hmm. That's what popped. How about you?
It's not strictly One Piece, but I imagine sort of the cover that's so iconic that you kind of see on screen here with the title card. And yeah, Luffy's face is on the front of like every single one in my imagination because they're all these. It's a group shot and it has all these. I don't know. It's these cool big volume magazines. It's where shonen starts for me, right? For most everybody. Here's a harder question. When I say Weekly Shonen Magazine, what hops first to your mind?
Weekly Shonen Jump.
I was going to say, what jumps first to my mind is, yes, the other shonen magazine that's not Weekly Shonen Jump. So that can kind of describe the relationship between these two, is essentially that there is Weekly Shonen Jump, and then there is everything else. Although, all that being said, Weekly Shonen Magazine is not a close number two, but a prominent number two, I would say. Quick sort of history context lesson here. These are the two biggest weekly shonen publications. Shueisha, who's owned by a company called Shogakukan. You'll hear us talk about Shueisha a lot. They are the publishers of Weekly Shonen Jump, and then Weekly Shonen Magazine is owned and published by Kodansha. If you listen to the podcast, you'll hear us talk about those two quite a lot, Shueisha and Kodansha. They have their own apps. Shueisha is way ahead of everybody in the West with their publication stuff. Shueisha owns stuff like Jump, obviously Weekly Shonen Jump, Jump Plus, big partnership with Viz Media. Kodansha has been trying to do their own thing. They launched the K-Manga app earlier this year to bad reception, I would say. Very not happy with it. Some quick notes I made here. Jump outsells magazine by a lot. Virtually every year, in every aspect. Even when Weekly Shonen Magazine has a hit, it doesn't matter because Weekly Shonen Jump has One Piece and all these other hits. Weekly Shonen Magazine started in 1959, actually started first. Weekly Shonen Jump starts in 1968. They've been publishing weekly ever since then. The highest selling Jump property of all time is, of course, One Piece. We'll be talking about that, of course, a little bit. And then the highest selling series in Weekly Shonen Magazine is Hajime no Ippo, the boxing manga. So, which is also a pretty well-known manga. That's not something you don't know about. So.
Yeah, it's popular. It's really good. And I think it has as many chapters as One Piece does.
It has almost half as many more chapters. I think Hajime no Ippo is on chapter like 1640 or something like that.
Right.
It's like 500 chapters ahead of One Piece, but it also started in like 79 or 85 or something. It's very old. But as to say, when we talk about magazine, don't pity them. Don't look down on them. As you'll see when we kind of go through things here, they are not without hits. They are not without good publications. I would say at times, certain weeks, Weekly Shonen Magazine is the better publication, especially if you're into certain genres, which we'll talk about. But let's talk about, let's get the big one out of the way. Let's talk about Weekly Shonen Jump a little bit. And notably, let's talk about what they publish that is popular and well known, and sort of what that means. So I made a little list. These are the notable sort of big time seller publications for Jump. Obviously, we mentioned One Piece, Bleach and Naruto, right? Having a corner on the big three in the early 2000s, I would say they were already solidified, I think, as a larger magazine, but I think the sort of mid-late 90s to early 2000s, kind of from maybe like 93, 94 to about 2004, Weekly Shonen Jump really made their corner as we are the magazine that young boys buy for their manga. We have One Piece, we have Bleach, we have Naruto, we have Dragon Ball, we have Yu Yu Hakusho, we have Hunter x Hunter, right? All of these things are like, yes, those are the classic late 90s, early 2000s shonen stuff. So what's your relationship with all those sort of classic is maybe not the right word for them, the big three and their surrounding compatriot shonen?
I think classic is a perfect word, because I have they were on Toonami, they were on Adult Swim. I think if you live in the United States, I can only speak to the United States here, but they only Jump properties pretty much aired on television. I think the only Weekly Shonen magazine property that had an anime when I was growing up was maybe Air Gear, and that played at like midnight on Adult Swim.
Yeah, I think Fairy Tail came over here, but that might have been like 2010 or 11. That's a little bit later.
Right.
Great I feel like GTO, Great Teacher Onizuka, that's a magazine one. I think that came over. I want to say that was on Toonami at some point, but I don't remember exactly.
I feel like GTO is something you relate more to as an adult. Even though it's pretty good. It has its issues, but it's pretty good. I feel like what Jump does really well is they have a lot of adventure stories that are very easy to relate to, like the entry level anime, if you will. And I agree, they are the go-to for teenage boys.
I think
as a former teenage boy myself, I can attest to that.
Same here. I think you've hit the nail on the head with two big points that I want to talk about. We'll do the one you were just talking about. I think that they are always looking and publishing sort of the next big entry level shonen, right? I think that they published Demon Slayer, which was a huge hit, 4 or 5 years ago now. They published Jujutsu Kaisen, which is very much kind of an entry level shonen thing. All Bleach, One Piece, Yu Yu Hakusho, Dragon Ball, all of those are your gateway into Japanese media, and Jump has those cornered, right? If you say, hey, I want to get into reading shonen, which shonen should I read? No one's going to go and tell you, ooh, start with, let me find a shonen on my list from magazine. Go read, I don't know, what's on here? Like, go read Rave Master or Air Gear. It's like, no, they might tell you that they like those, but if you're trying to say, hey, go introduce me to a manga or an anime, it's something out of Jump, right? Jump just,
right.
They just have it all. And I think part of that is that they are always looking for that, right? I have noted this, I think we've both noted this in the types of things that they publish in their new blocks. This year, and especially last year, I think there were a lot of stuff we saw where it was like, this is just Bleach again. They're just looking for another sort of simple entry-level manga that people like enough that they can hold on to, and then it can be the next big thing. I'm thinking like Dororon, Aliens Area, stuff like that is like, yes, if this was any good, this could be baby's first shonen. Now, they aren't any good, but Jump is always looking for that. That is their angle. Their angle is, we are read by millions, but we want to get you while you're a child. It's the, there's some kind of advertising strategy, I guess maybe you could call it, where you want a customer for life, right? You build up your brand loyalty, right? Brand loyalty, exactly. Because if you're, what age did you start watching or reading One Piece, Gautam?
I was in high school, so 16.
16, okay. And so you've been reading One Piece for 15 almost or more years, right? Somewhere in that area.
Like half my life has gone to One Piece.
And so their strategy succeeds, and it succeeds for a lot of people. I have friends and people I know who are in their mid to late 30s like I am. I'm in my early 30s. I'm not in my mid to late 30s. Disclaimer. That they'll still talk about Dragon Ball anytime you want. You go, dude, do you want to talk about Dragon Ball? I'll be like, hell yeah, because they have that brand loyalty. So Weekly Shonen Jump, I think, thrives off that. I think their strategy revolves around getting you in when you're young and keeping you in, especially stuff like One Piece, right? And One Piece, Bleach and Naruto are both like, Bleach is like 700 chapters and Naruto's like 400 or 500. They're incredibly long series, right? They want to get you in. Mm-hmm. They want to hold on to you. They want their series that are popular to go on a long time. I think that's shifting a little bit, but I think historically they've said, you have a popular series, you must now write it forever. So the other thing I wanted to mention that you hit on at the start of when you were talking about Weekly Shonen Jump is I think Weekly Shonen Jump has, and I don't know if the angle is that they are better about finding anime to be made, or if the anime studios are just like, yes, we want to work on a Jump property, and so there's competition, and the best studio gets it. But their anime adaptations are generally pretty great. Like, I can harp on Jujutsu Kaisen's story or Demon Slayer's story all I want. The anime adaptations of those series are pretty fucking great. Like, the animation, those studios do a great job, and they're bringing a lot of people into the anime and manga scene. Again, that sort of entry level, get people in early, get them in with a very wide appeal type thing. But yeah, the anime that Weekly Shonen Jump has not made necessarily, but inspired, sold, whatever you want to call it, right? One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, right? The big three is just a thing in the West. I don't know if Japan had the same sort of reverence for those, but the reason those are the big three is that those are the big three anime, right? The manga got published probably near the same time, but I'm going to guess that they sold a pittance compared to sort of anime and merch and other stuff. So,
I think Jump is quite picky with a lot of things. One is deciding what stays in the magazine. But if you're in the magazine long enough, they ensure that you get an anime, and that the anime would be high quality. For sure. So I do think studios compete, and they review pitches and decks and all that shit, all the corporate mumbo jumbo, in order to pick a good studio to represent one of their properties. So I think while they are quite harsh with what they select to be in their magazine, they're also pretty protective once you are in of their IP and your IP.
And I think they're also, it's a good call out. I do think that if you're in Weekly Shonen Jump for 3 years and you don't have an anime, it's coming in year 4. Like, I don't think you go that long without an anime. We've got a bunch of stuff coming up that, some of it's Jump Plus, like Kaiju 8, that anime's coming in October, I think. Is that starting? Or maybe it's January next year or March next year. I don't remember. We got a trailer for that recently. But Sakamoto Days, we know that anime's on the way. I think next year we're going to see Blue Box anime. We might see an Akane Banashi anime next year. That might be another year and a half out. But yeah, I mean, if you make it 2.5 years and you're, in the top half of the magazine or doing pretty well, you're going to get an anime. I think Witch Watch anime has been announced. All those things are right.
Inevitability. Yeah. It just happens.
Which is great. Which, I mean, if you're a publisher or if you're a reader, that's great. If you read something in Weekly Shonen Jump for a year or two, and if you stick with it, that's going to get an anime, and that's cool to watch. That's satisfying. And I think that rewards readers. I think Weekly Shonen Jump is really good about that. That if you like something and lots of other people do, I think they will reward your loyalty with a good anime, with sticking with it. One other thing
Weekly Shonen magazine also gets a lot of animes, but I think the guarantee is that Jump will get, like, whatever Jump property you're reading will get a good anime. Will get a good adaptation. That has the budget, that has the talent behind it, Yeah. Whereas I've seen a decent amount of anime in magazine, and it's like 50-50.
It's definitely more hit or miss, because it's plain and simple. less money, less sway, less pull, less popularity. It's the unfortunate fact of the matter. Let's swap over to talking about Magazine then, because I think Magazine is the more interesting publication to tackle, just because it is not, it's not the all-powerful, all-popular Weekly Shonen Jump. It isn't, we maybe praised it a bit too much. I think there's obviously some issues with Weekly Shonen Jump. I think some of the things that they are attempting to publish are pretty bad. I think it sucks when they publish a new set of 3 or 4 manga, and like maybe one of these is good. It'll be somewhere between 0 and 1. There's never 2 good ones in the same block, like hardly ever.
I think it's like a pilot in a TV show.
That runs unfortunately for like 6 months. So.
Right. Yeah. You see an episode or 2 and then it doesn't get picked up for a second season. You see that a lot of Jump. But yeah. Anyway, let's talk about Magazine.
Yeah, let's talk about Magazine. Let's go through some of the sort of heavy hitters for Magazine. Again, when I was looking up this list, it's a little bit harder to find the ones that are like, oh yeah, that's a big thing. You might recognize that. But these are still pretty big properties. I have Blue Lock is a more recent big one that blew up along with the World Series, which took place in Japan. Hajime no Ippo we mentioned. Fairy Tail Rave Master. You, I think, added Cromartie High School, or maybe I did because you mentioned it a bunch.
No, I added that.
Okay.
I have something to say about that later.
Okay. Air Gear, that's by the one of the best artists in the biz. Oh, great. I like that one. Shogi. When Will Ayumu Make His Moves, that the English is called. That's kind of the shogi romance thing. Takagi-san, which is ending next week. That's in a Shonen Magazine. Tokyo Revengers, that's a very big popular thing. GTO, great teacher Onizuka, we mentioned. Ace No Diamond, that's another huge thing that's been running for years, has a ton of spin-off. Those are all in Weekly Shonen Magazine. A couple of my favorites here. Fire Force ran in Shonen Magazine. Love Fire Force. Quintessential Quintuplets, love that. And those are all sort of past or finished or maybe ongoing things, but they have some current stuff that I think are pretty big bangers, right? They publish Gachi Yakuta, which is the garbage shonen manga, which I'm behind on now a couple of months, but that, while it was going, I thought was really good. Had a really cool style, very
For
similar
context,
to Okubo.
It is literally about garbage. It's not a bad manga, yeah.
No, yes, it is a good manga, literally about magic garbage. It's very interesting. I love Gachi Yakuta. Ranger Reject / Go-Go Loser Ranger. We hate that name, but that's in Shonen Magazine. That we talk about that a lot on this podcast because that is a super good weekly publication. I love that one.
Yeah, agreed. We're big fans of that one.
Yeah. Shangri-La Frontier, which I think you've read a bit of.
Yeah, I've read like 100 chapters of it.
Akabane Honeko no Bodyguard. That's sort of a new, I don't even know what you call it, romance battle. It's not really romance. It's sort of a battle spy thriller thing, but that's really good. That got some reprints announced. I like that one. When Will Ayumu Make His Move? That's one that I like. That's just very comfy sort of romance type thing. But again, so you see, there are some recognizable names in there. They're less recognizable maybe than One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, Jujutsu Kaisen, but some big stuff, some interesting stuff. Gautam, do you notice any trends or anything sticking out that you want to talk about in Weekly Shonen Magazine here?
Yeah, I think a lot of series in Weekly Shonen Magazine try to capture what the bestsellers in Jump do. Like Fairy Tail is obviously it is so blatantly just One Piece we have at home. Sorry to ruffle feathers here, but everyone knows it's true. Like Guild Arts is just Shanks. It's the same design. But yeah, I think what I find weaker in Weekly Shonen Magazine are the fairy tales of the world that try to just do what Jump does and hit that same level of success. I like the weird, like the romance ones are fine. They're all good. Like When Will Ayumu Make His Move? I'm a fan of that author. I think that's a good series.
TZ Master Takagi-san. Yeah, those are fun, comfy stuff.
But I like the weird ones. I think Fire Force, Soul Eater was in this magazine. I think
Soul Eater was in this magazine. Yep.
Soul Eater, I feel like it can never be on the same level of popularity as a One Piece because it doesn't have that broader appeal, but it is very weird. And
yeah, Fire Force is the same way, right? Same author, Okubo. So yeah,
exactly. I think Weekly Shonen Magazine has these weirdo, strange picks. Air Gear is very weird. Like
Gachiakuta is very weird. Gachiakuta he worked with Okubo for years as one of his assistants. That's the literal quote garbage manga that we were talking about.
Yeah, I appreciate manga like that. I feel like when it's doing its own thing and not trying to capture mainstream success, it makes some real hits. It makes some real good ones. I feel. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you got. I just gonna say, I think you've definitely again hit the nail on the head on some of the stuff I want to talk about, because Weekly Shonen Magazine, maybe because it's less popular, or maybe as a result, maybe because they choose to do this, it is less popular. But WSJ, we talked about, Jump is sort of the master of your baby's first shonen, your entry level. This is your typical, Bleach and Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen. Those are all kind of the same story. They introduce you. There's a power level thing. Even One Piece, Naruto, all that stuff. It's baby's first shonen. Weekly Shonen Magazine doesn't have as many of those, and they're better when they don't try to go for those. Because I think, like you mentioned, when Shonen Magazine tries to do baby's first shonen, stuff like Fairy Tail, it is not as good as Weekly Shonen Jump, because Weekly Shonen Jump is the master of that, and you're not going to beat them at that. So stop trying to chase them.
Yeah, they have the formula down.
Yeah, but like you said, I think that when they go for different stuff, when they go for stuff like Ranger Reject, right? Ranger Reject is not a thing I think could ever... I think it would survive because I think it's good enough if it were in Jump, but I don't think Jump would ever publish something like that. It's too different and weird. And it's not even that weird, right? But like something that's told from the point of view of a bad guy who's trying to fight against the Power Rangers, who's kind of a little shithead. Those types of character things are not things that Jump generally publishes. But Magazine does. And I think those are kind of where it shines, right? Like you mentioned, the Soul Eaters, the Fire Forces, the Ranger Rejects, Blue Lock, stuff like that. That's a little bit more weird, a little bit more different, maybe a little bit more anti-hero-y, I would say. Does Jump have any true sort of anti-heroes or leading their magazine?
I was going to say the last irreverent shithead I remember in Jump was Gintama, Gintoki.
Yeah. Like Denji while Chainsaw Man was in Weekly Shonen Jump, but that also moved to Jump Plus, and that fits better at Jump Plus in my opinion. So,
and I think it is a balancing act between those characters existed in Jump as irreverent shitheads, and I appreciated that because I love those characters. Mm-hmm. But I feel like in order to succeed in Jump, you have to have the relatability, which both of them did. I don't feel like D has any kind of relatability initially, and I think that's good because his character arc, he's not supposed to. His character arc is kind of growing his humanity, and I don't know if a character like that would have survived Weekly Shonen Jump. I have no idea. I don't think so.
When we talk about characteristics, I guess, of characters, on Weekly Shonen Jump side, your sympathy is usually really high because the main character is a good guy trying to do good things, or they're helping people out. Weekly Shonen Magazine sympathies maybe more in the middle. They're a weirdo. They're not trying to do good stuff for good reasons, like D and some of these others. But yeah, I think that makes them more interesting. I definitely think there is I don't know if maturity is the right word, but there's a sort of progression, I think, from reading or consuming sort of only Weekly Shonen Jump. Like, I started with Dragon Ball, was the only thing I watched, or I only watch One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto. And I think that once you sort of eat all that up, consume it all, and are well rehearsed at it, and you discover something from Weekly Shonen Magazine, it feels refreshing. I know that when I went and read Fire Force a year or so ago, read through all of it, 300 chapters, 304 chapters, whatever it was. It's much weirder. It's much more different. And to me, that's sort of a much more refreshing thing to read. And that's what I think magazine is better at. And yeah, I'll repeat it one more time, but when they just try to emulate Jump, they fail. When they do their own thing and they say, you know, we trust this author, do what you want, you know, be weird, be a little different. That's when they shine. Blue Lock is another kind of weird, different one. It's very shonen tropey, but it is also definitely more of sort of a dark, you know, be your own, fight for your own place on the team type of thing. So yeah, I think that's one of the ways that Weekly Shonen Magazine really excels.
But it's kind of like a weird issue to have, because I think this is coming from the perspective of two people who consume a lot of manga. So it feels unique and fresh to us, but when pulling in a new audience, or even their current audience, it feels like, even though Weekly Shonen Jump is not anything new or is something you've never seen before most of the time, I think it is still a constant that's comfortable and easy to read. Mm-hmm. And especially entering the medium, you want to find something that's not too out there, because that you innately lose part of the audience by getting too weird with it.
Right.
There's a reason why Jump is so popular, is because they are unique enough to inspire like new emotions, and it's like, whoa, this feels unique, but not so crazy that
you're going to turn off a large part of your audience.
Right? Exactly. It's still an easy kind of slot in, easy onboarding, if you will, onto that magazine. And I think it's like people will always go back to Jump as like kind of a palate cleanser if they read like a Berserk, or if they read like an Air Gear. Like that's really fun and refreshing to read every once in a while, but I don't think it's something that general audiences will continue to seek out and consume nonstop. Like they will something that's easily palatable and doesn't require as much focus, like a Weekly Shonen Jump.
Yeah, I think you've hit on another really good point. I think the Weekly Shonen Magazine is much more niche. I think their styles and publications are for smaller audiences than Weekly Shonen Jump is, which is exactly what you just said, basically. Jump, I think this is not necessarily to the detriment of Jump, but there's definitely some weeks where I read, what's a bunch of action stuff from Jump. You know, I'll read My Hero, you know, it'll be My Hero and Jujutsu Kaisen and Sakamoto Days and One Piece and what other action stuff is there? Like Witch Watch or something else, right? You'll read all these things and you'll be like, these are all, not to demean any of these, but these are all kind of doing the same thing, right? These are all sort of character light, battle heavy, action, fun things, right? Like almost everything in Jump is pretty fun. Like sometimes they get dark. Like my Hero has gone pretty dark recently.
But we keep it light. We keep it light all the time.
Yeah, they want light, fun. Again, they want 14-year-old boys to buy their magazine, get invested in their stuff, become lifelong fans. Weekly Shonen Magazine, a lot more niche, which I think makes their magazine feel a lot more diverse when you read its lineup. It feels like, if I pick 5 random things from Weekly Shonen Jump, I'm going to get an action battle shonen, an action battle shonen, an action battle shonen, an action battle shonen. And then maybe you luck into an Akane Banashi, right? Like a sports character thing, or an Ichinose, which is more of a kind of psychological. Maybe you luck into one of those, but there's only a couple of those in the magazine at a time. Whereas Weekly Shonen Magazine, you know, they've got weird stuff like, they do have a lot of sort of action battle things, but they've got Blue Lock, which is a sort of sports action thing. They've got
Hippo, which is another sports action, but like they have Cromartie High School, a comedy. They have Quintuplets, which is a romance. They have. I see what you're saying. They have like a lot more diversity. Mm-hmm. Whereas Jump generally only, like for romance, I can only think of
it's only really Blue Box right now for
Blue Box. Yeah, Blue Box. But we have Quintuplets. We have Ayumu's First Move. There's a lot of romance.
Well, and that was the last thing I wanted to bring up for Weekly Shonen Magazine, was that Weekly Shonen Magazine is if you're into shonen romance, Magazine is a way better magazine for you than Shonen Jump. Because you're getting it is only Blue Box and Weekly Shonen Jump. I don't think anything else even like hints at or knocks on the door of romance, really. Whereas in Magazine, you've got Kanan-sama's Easy as Hell. I think that's a really fun series. You've got Medaka Kuryoa's Impervious to My Charms, which I think is another really fun series. Had some ups and downs. It went down and then it came back. It's okay, but it's a romance. It's a shonen romance. You have Rent a Girlfriend, which is a shonen romance. That's what I'll say about it right now. You have When Will Yumu Make His Move. You have Tying the Knot with the Yamagami sisters. There's like a lot of romance in this magazine, right? So I think that if you're, again, if that's your niche, if you like shonen and you like your little flavor of romance in there, which that's kind of the kind of reader I am. I love a little bit of romance flair. I like the sort of easy to consume shonen romances, especially when they're more reiwa-y and there's confessions and stuff. So I really like that about Shonen Magazine, that it has that. One of their big niches is like, yeah, we are a similar magazine to Jump. We're both, for young boys, you both have this shonen action battle angle, but Magazine is fully like a third romance, and Jump is like one romance out of 22 series, 24 series, something like that. So
yeah, exactly. There's more on Jump Plus, of course, but in Magazine proper, I can only think of the one. Okay, let me ask you this. We have a few lists here. What would you say? Let's put One Piece aside, because I don't think there's anything in Magazine that's better, hands down. But let's say let's use a Sakamoto Days or a comparable, like a series of comparable quality in terms of action, right?
Okay, yeah.
What would you say in Weekly Shonen Magazine that competes with a Sakamoto Days?
So I think the best thing Weekly Shonen Magazine is publishing right now is probably Ranger Reject. Nothing else in there is... Ranger Reject is inconsistent sometimes. It is not a perfect series by any stretch, but I think it's the best thing in the magazine right now. I would put that on the level of Sakamoto Days. I think they're different for different reasons. Sakamoto Days is very kind of simple pared back story. There's not, it's very, very plot driven kind of character like most things in Jump are. Ranger Reject is similar,
I would agree.
Similar kind of type of style. It's more of a kind of detective thriller, kind of almost a whodunit at times, an infiltration. It's a spy thriller, I guess, is what Ranger Reject really is. But it's cool at it, and it's got good action, and especially these last 4 months have just been on a roll. It had one bad arc kind of right at the start, near the middle. But yeah, Ranger Reject is really, really good, and I think that since we mentioned romance, the author of Ranger Reject, Negi Haruba, his past work was Quintessential Quintuplets, which is a harem romance, right? It's not really. It doesn't end. It does end in harem, kind of. It's essentially a harem romance, but it also has this sort of mystery detective kind of behind it of the main character knew one of the girls from years ago. Which one is it? That's the one he's in love with, blah, blah, blah. So, Quintessential Quintuplets is a really good, well-written series with really good art. It's very interesting. It has cool stylistic things where he'll draw the girls differently. They can disguise as each other because they're, quintuplets or whatever. I really liked Quintessential Quintuplets when I read it. Kind of a shit ending. But still a really good series. So
you did pick the two Negi things. To be fair,
well, I was just tying it back. But if I had to pick a second, I'll pick a second one,
pick a second
and then you
one,
can pick
a second one.
I like Gachiakuda. Here's what I'm gonna pick for the flame. I think Rent a Girlfriend is one of the most genius manga being published today. It's
rage bait.
In so many words, yes. It is. I mean, it's a soap opera. But think of soap operas are less popular now. But think of when we were growing up, right, in the late '90s, early 2000s. You know how popular soap operas were with the like sort of mid 30s, 40s, 50s-year-old women. Like everyone watched soap operas. Like everyone watched Days of Our Lives.
It was the water cooler talk, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That was water cooler talk stuff. Rent a Girlfriend is genius because one, there's a bunch of girls, so you can pick your best girl. They all, have a crush on the MC, but you know who's going to win. And it's just, the shit that happens in that story is so wild. And I don't want to call it clickbaity because that's not, it is self-advertising because it is written in a way that is so frustrating and wild and stupid that, people are going to post pictures of this on Twitter and be like, look how stupid this is. And, Streisand effect, all advertisement is good advertisement. Rent-A-Girlfriend is a massive property, too, for magazine. The first season of the anime, second season, the third season, has been ordered. I mean, it's airing. I think we're on season 3, maybe. There's going to be there's going to be 8 seasons of anime for this. The girls will be on keychains forever. They will sell body pillows out the ass. I think it is a genius manga. I don't think it's well written. At times, it has gone vastly downhill. It was good for a little while, I will say, and fun in the right kind of wild soap opera ways until it just started repeating things. And I'm okay with doing the sort of I'm a 22-year-old virgin who's hung out with this girl for 3 years and we've kissed once. I'll do that once. I'll let you do that once.
$50,000 in debt or whatever.
Yeah, you do not get to do that to me 4 times, dude. Like you don't get to just repeat the same. Yeah. So it has issues, but I want to call out Rent a Girlfriend because we like to shit on it, but at the same time, that is a massive property that has made Shonen Magazine a lot of money. Money is success in its own way, and I massively respect it. And I think that author knows what he's doing. He may be stretched a little thin now, but for the first, 220, 250 chapters, I would have said, no, this isn't shit. This is genius soap opera. It is supposed to be like this. It is supposed to be stupid drama. Now that he's kind of been repeating things, again, a little more down on it, but I really do think Rent a Girlfriend is kind of I don't even know how to describe it. It's not a gem, but it's
a phenomenon. It's a
phenomenon. A phenomenon is a good word.
It's just occurring.
It is an important. Yes, it is an important thing that we all have to learn to deal with existing because cute girls sell mugs.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So what do you see from Weekly Shonen Magazine that you want to call out or talk about? Current or past?
Honestly, even if we include all of Jump here, let's take aside what I think is the best in Jump, which is One Piece, Yu Yu Hakusho, and Hunter x Hunter. Mm-hmm. If we put those aside,
still
those
just
are
Hunter.
Nothing beats those on this list, in my opinion. So let's take them out of the whole contest. And my favorite from this whole list is actually in Weekly Shonen Magazine.
Really?
And it's Cromartie High School. I think it is one of the funniest things I've seen. I think it like, even including American comedies, I think Cromartie is just up there. If you're gonna watch it, watch the English dub of Cromartie High School. They fucking killed it. Each episode is 10 minutes, and they're like 12 episodes. You should give it a watch. I don't care how old you are. It is universally great. I know it looks like the art style is pretty unique, but check it out. I guarantee it's gonna be a banger. Freddie Mercury's in it.
That's okay. I mean, now I'm curious.
Yeah.
I've heard you talk about that a lot. It was because it's pretty old, right? That's like 2008, 2009, 2011.
Yeah, something like that.
That was right. That was when I was getting into anime. So I'm maybe not that much of a latecomer, but I didn't really get into anime until I was almost out of college. So
I'm a huge fan of Cromartie. It is my type of humor exactly. I encourage anyone who likes like comedy manga to give it a shot. It's pretty unique. It's not like a lot of comedy manga. I'd say it uses deadpan humor and
is
kind of dry humor a lot more than I've seen any other kind of comedy anime. Like comedy anime like Gintama and Nishijo usually go with bombastic humor, and this is the complete reverse of that. Actually, I'm sorry. Let's take Gintama out of that list too. That's my favorite comedy anime. But
Gintama is pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah, Cromartie is second.
Cool. Anything other than Cromartie High that's up on your list that you want to talk about?
Hell yeah, Air Gear. Don't watch the anime. Read the manga. The anime is fine, but it does not do the beauty of the manga's artwork justice.
Yeah, the author and artist here is the guy's name is Ogureto, and when you write it, it's O ! Great. So his name is Ogreat. In Japanese, he's called Ogu. I think his name is like Ogu something, and I think he just changed it to like Ogureto. So I don't know. But anyways, his art.
That's the main character's name in Air Gear.
It might be. He might have named it after himself. I don't know. I know this artist because this artist did the Bakemonogatari manga, which I think also maybe ran in Shonen magazine. I don't remember what that ran in. But yeah, the Bakemonogatari manga. If you just search Bakemonogatari manga art, oh great, you're gonna see some banger panels. This guy's up there. This guy's like top 5 best artists in the biz, I think, and he's the author of Air Gear here.
Yeah, I will say Air Gear is like a solid 7 out of 10. It has its issues, but it hits very high highs, and it is as
it's 51 by the way.
Baller, dude.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd say I would tie it with Sakamoto Days in the creativity of the fight scenes.
Mm-hmm.
It does go standard shonen every once in a while, but I think it is a very creative manga, a very weird manga too. But I think I would still say it's a 7 out of 10, but it's a 7 out of 10 I'd encourage people to read.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, Bakemonogatari is also very, very weird, so I think Great has a style, but yeah, his art is sick. His writing might not be the greatest. I don't know. I need to check out Air Gear. I think that's on my plate.
His writing, like it hits really well sometimes, and then there are chapters where I'm like, what the fuck am I reading right now? Like look of disgust. What am I reading right now? It hits both those categories. So yeah, check out Air Gear.
Cool. Anything else you want to mention? Jump or magazine? Jump versus magazine?
As much as I shit on Fairy Tail earlier, shout out to Mashima for being a fucking machine.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's had, I think at one point, 3 things published in this magazine and 1 in another magazine in the whatever the monthly version of Weekly Shonen Magazine is called.
Yeah,
monthly Shonen Magazine.
Him and his employees work like 4 days a week, and it's like an 8-hour day. It's crazy. Yeah.
It's not hard to write the shit he writes. I get it. It's like, what's going to happen now?
And moving
fight.
To digital.
Good guy's going to win.
Know what?
Spiky hair. Let's go.
All respect. Like, even if I'm not into what he's putting out, if there's an audience and his crew is getting a good work-life balance, then more power to him. Good for you.
Well, and I think he's one of the better baby's first shonen writers in kind of the whole. Jump is lucky that they get to sort of go through a lot of these and then pick the cream of the crop. Weekly Shonen Magazine just has Mashima. Just is like, all right, what do you got for us next? That's baby's first shonen, Mashima. Oh, it's a spiky-haired lead character with a hidden power who's got family problems? Nice, let's do it. Let's run it.
I assure you. And, Fairy Tail, Raidmaster, whatever his new thing is. Demon High School. Black Rock.
Called? Black Rock. Yeah, there you go.
I think it is all bad in comparison, but if you isolate it, I think those are all very readable works.
And I think especially if you are not, I don't want to say not well read, but if you're new and you're 15, if you're 13 and you're reading manga and you're listening to this podcast, go read Mashima stuff. It's like you're going to love it if you're that age. It's for you.
It's fun. Fairy Tail, I had a good time at the beginning. But I think if given the option, Weekly Shonen Jump would scoop up Mashima any day of the week. Like,
you think?
Easily. I think look at Nue's Exorcist, right? I'm positive that they would much rather publish Black Rock.
That's true. I could agree with that. Let's pick one. Let's say for 1 year, for all of 2024, you're only allowed to read either Jump or Magazine. Which one do you pick? Let's say you can
We have
read
to take One
One
Piece out of
Piece.
the
I
equation.
was gonna say, let's say you can read One Piece no matter what, because that does skew. Yeah, you can always read One Piece, and you have to either pick Jump or Magazine.
At the moment, Jump still. I think Magazine has Ranger Reject, but that's really the only thing currently going I give a shit about. Whereas there's Sakamoto Days, there's Akane. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think
that I'm really attached to in Jump.
Yeah,
And Witch Watch, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think I could be happy reading either. I do not think I would be too disappointed if I was sort of forced to take a year break from Jump. I will say that part of what makes reading Jump more appealing here in the West is just the way their Western publication works. The Sunday morning 10 a.m. drop of, hey, here's all the manga from Jump. That feels cool. I like waking up on Sunday. It's almost like waking up for Saturday morning cartoons for me. I don't know if it's the same for you, but like I wake up on Sunday, I roll over and I'm like, fuck yeah, it's manga day, right? Like sure, manga's published the rest of the week, but this morning there's an hour and a half of reading I get to do. Everything from Jump is published on the same day. That's a cool drop. Now, because Shonen Magazine does not have that. I do not get to go and read Ranger Reject and Kanan-sama and Rent-A-Girlfriend and Korea is impervious to my charms and When Will You Make His Move. I don't get to go and just read those all on one day, and so it's less sticky, right? It's less cool. Here's the event where Jump happens. We don't have that for Magazine, and that's a Western publishing thing, which we've talked to death in the past. But yeah, Kodansha's not nearly as good as that as Shueisha is. Jump leads. I really wish they were, because I think that there would be more talk of competition if, like, let's say on Saturday morning, all the Weekly Shonen Magazine stuff dropped. And then everyone would be like, oh man, I'm always so hyped on Saturday morning. You know, I'm more hyped on Saturday. I'm on Sunday. Which do you like more, Saturday drops or Sunday drops? But yeah, that's kind of
one of those things. You're right. There is no competition outside of Japan because everyone only knows Weekly Shonen Jump. It's like saying, hey, Puffs is the second biggest tissue brand. It's like nobody cares. Everyone knows about Kleenex.
Yeah, you've got Kleenex. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good call out. So all that to say, I could just read Shonen Magazine and be pretty happy. I like a lot of stuff in there. I like Ranger Reject. I like pretty much all the romances they publish. I'll deal with Rent-A-Girlfriend because it's fun sometimes.
Please, I would rolling around in the filth.
It's so fun. But I definitely think Shonen Jump there's a reason it's the leader. It isn't just because of the 14-year-old boys. They are legitimately still a great publication who finds good, fun shonen that stick around, and it supports them well, and it gives them anime, and it makes them popular, and you can buy shirts and stuff, and it's great. I love Weekly Shonen Jump. I like Weekly Shonen Magazine a lot. I'm glad they're second place. I hope they can take more market share, but Jump.
I think there's something we need to mention about Jump's success that I feel like I need to emphasize, and this is going to be. No. That. I'm kidding. This is going to sound like an extreme take coming from me, but if you told me that I could read only One Piece or every other manga and have to choose one for a year, I would pick One Piece. And it wouldn't be close. That's not even a hard decision for me.
That's a hard decision for me, but you would have to promise me that I could catch up on One Piece in a year. Because if we were like, you can never read One Piece again, I'd be like, well, I really want to read One Piece. So,
but the thing is, One Piece is such a fucking juggernaut. It is a behemoth that I am positive that there are a ton of people that don't read manga but read One Piece. I'm positive its sales are so astronomically high that I'm sure there are a ton of people that are simply buying Weekly Shonen Jump for One Piece.
I think it was maybe 2019 or maybe 2020 was like the first time in 20 or 25 years or something that One Piece was not the top selling Jump property. That was the first year that Demon Slayer came out. And it was the year that Demon Slayer anime aired and then the manga ended. Demon Slayer outsold One Piece that year. That has not happened. It's like, so I think from 90, I want to say it was probably like 98 or 99 was maybe the first year where it was like, oh yeah, Jump's our best-selling property now. Or One Piece is our best-selling property now. One Piece has been the highest-selling thing in Jump for like 23 or like 22 of the past 23 years or something like that, which is crazy. It is on another level.
And it is one of these immensely successful things that I get it. Like, yeah. I feel like with a lot of incredibly mainstream things, I have this a hipster in me that's like, okay, yeah, it's pretty good, but like, goddamn, why is it so big? Like, why is this so popular? Yeah. But One Piece, I'm on that wavelength. I'm like, okay, I'm with you, boys. I'm with you. One Piece is amazing.
There's kind of, I totally agree with you in that regard. There's kind of these two levels of mainstream popularity for me. There's like, oh, this is mainstream popular. And I'm like, okay, maybe, but it doesn't really deserve to be that big. And then there's kind of the next level of like, this is mainstream popular and everyone agrees that it is the best thing. I would put Full Metal Alchemist up there. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood especially. That's one of those things that's like, is it actually the number one anime of all time? Like, yeah, maybe. It's really fucking good in every respect and regard. And Arakawa is one of my favorite authors. I will simp for her to the ends of the world. It's number one on Mal, and it deserves to be there, I think. And One Piece is the same way. It is the highest selling comic property. I think it's still behind Superman, but it's going to beat Superman by the time it finishes, I can guarantee you. And does it deserve to be there? Yeah, it actually does. Like, without a doubt.
I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to see something that I like. I know this is a very selfish point of view, but I'm happy to see something that I love so much be so popular and be so well respected. Speaking of FMA, was that in Jump or was that
FMA was published by Square Enix originally, I think was who published that. It jumped publications at some point to, it's the same magazine that publishes her new thing.
Daemons of the Shadow Realm.
Daemons of the Shadow Realm. Stupid. Monthly Shonen Gangan published.
Got it. So it's neither of these. Okay.
Yeah, and Yomi no Sugai is in that too. I mean, they've only got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They have like 12 things they publish. So they're a much smaller magazine. Much smaller. Okay. It's monthly. So it's longer things and like that. But yeah.
And I'm sure a lot more flexibility for the authors and whatnot. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think we should, if you guys stick around and listen, I think in a couple months here, we should have a conversation about the monthly published works, because I mentioned, I think in my One Punch Man video over on the White Gray Black channel, go check that out, that I think monthly publications are almost always like just across the board higher quality. I'm thinking of stuff like Full Metal Alchemist, Yomi no Sugai, One Punch Man, Dungeon Meshi. These are some of the like top things being published right now that are all monthly. So,
and we are 100% talking about Dungeon Meshi, which ends in a month.
Yeah, well, in a couple weeks here, that's coming up. So, anyways,
Delicious in Dungeon.
Stick around and look forward to that. We'll definitely talk about the monthly publications, because both of these magazines, I believe, have their own monthly publications. We should talk about digital publications, although we kind of slipped a little bit into that here. I don't know if there's much to talk about, because it's really just Jump is great and every other Western one is bad, but there's some other good stuff. The Square Enix one's actually okay.
App-wise?
Like app-wise and just digital delivery-wise, stuff like that. But look, those are ideas that are floating around, so I think they'll pop up on the podcast at some point or another. Anything else to chat about here on these two, though? The big monthlies. Cool. Let's take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll cover some news, and we'll do one more thing that we're doing. Welcome back, everybody. Time for some news. Not a whole lot this week, but there's a little bit. Let's start with some sad news. The manga author of the series, haven't you heard, I'm Sakamoto, that author, Nami Sano, has passed away at 36 due to cancer. That is a very sad one. So that is the Sakamoto Desuga, I think is what that's called in the in the West, or in Japan, I guess. Really young, 2 years older than me. No, 3 years older than me. I forgot how old I was. Yeah, that's scary and sad. And that was a really popular series and a really popular anime. So
it's a good one too.
Yeah.
Sakamoto was really funny. That's really, really sad.
It's sad that we've lost a couple of big authors in the last couple of years, but that's how, especially younger ones, right? We lost the Sakamoto author at 36. We lost the Yu-Gi-Oh author earlier in the year. He was like 15.
Oh man,
not even that old.
That was also really tragic. Yeah.
Yeah, trying to save people from a riptide. So, all right, moving on from the sadness. All blessings to their family over there. And if you have not checked out, haven't you heard, I'm Sakamoto, go check it out. The anime I've heard is great. The manga is equally as good. Some leak news here. I saw 2 leaks today that are both kind of like, this is obvious, of course, so we'll just report on it. Chainsaw Man movie and season 2 both airing in 2022. I feel like we maybe heard about this a couple months ago. This makes complete sense to me. We agreed that the Bomb Devil arc in Chainsaw Man would make a great standalone movie. I'm almost sure that's what they're going to do. They'll do the Bomb Devil as a movie. They'll come back with season 2, and that'll either finish it out or get pretty close. They might need another half season or something after that. But so yeah, looking forward to that. Chainsaw Man season 1 I liked a lot.
No, that's hype. The Bomb Devil arc is actually it's perfect for me. You're right.
And it's very good. The other leak I saw was One Punch Man Season 3, which I think today are at like 361 or 62 days since they said, hey, we're working on One Punch Man Season 3, and then went radio silent. We are almost at 1 full year. But, hey, is a leak. The leak that I saw was it's going to be Mappa. And I think we reported, quote unquote, on this back in January or something, is the leak was Mappa's doing One Punch Man. Makes sense to me. They do everything. Sure, of course it's them. Whatever.
This sounds like something I've known for ages.
I think we talked about this in January, if I remember right, because it was probably like, oh, initial discussions are happening, and now it's probably like, okay, it's set in stone, so it's a different leak. So who knows? Okay. But yeah, I thought this was maybe like leak confirmed, but maybe not, because I saw it coming out leaked again. We got a bunch of reprint stuff. Speaking of Weekly Shonen Magazine, this is such a hard one for me to say. Akabane Honeko no Bodyguard, Volume 1 and 2, are a great success and are being reprinted. And then we also got an announcement that series is going to get licensed in English, which is great. This is a really fun little series. I like this series a lot. Akabane Honeko no Bodyguard. That's a great one. Looking forward to that getting licensed in English. I think people are going to like that one. That is I think the male and female leads in that are the best characters, which I think is a strong base, a strong skeleton for a manga to have. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I had fun with it. I haven't seen chapters of it. So
that one hit today, I say, or yesterday maybe. They're still coming out. They're okay. It's slowed down a little bit, like I think a lot of the really good starts do, but I still enjoy it. I still think the lead characters are fun. It's still a very fun to read manga, which is great. So,
yeah, that matters most.
Cool. Cypher Academy, Volume 1 and 2 are also both getting reprints. I will be the first one to admit we called that one wrong, or at least maybe just not for the West. Cypher Academy seems to be doing well enough in Japan that is going to stick around. So I do not think that's...
I'm so surprised by that. I'm so surprised by that. It wasn't even the puzzles were the problem because they are hard to translate into the West, but it had so many more issues. So
I wonder because the initial translator who Viz had on that series, I think hard quit translating the series after like 15 or 18 chapters. They were just like, I cannot do it. It is too difficult. I do not get paid enough, because, they get paid by the word or by the page or something. And it's like, it's not worth it for me to spend, hours and hours translating Cypher Academy and get paid the same as I would for translating one page of Sakamoto Days, which is all action.
And people don't even like it, right? Like, when it's not posted and they're like, that this puzzle makes no sense. It's
so I am curious to see if that translator's, if their issue with translating it resulted in, I don't want to say a lack of quality, like they were making it worse. But if you're struggling and you're not enjoying and you hard quit translating a series, I can imagine some of that might show through in the words you're putting on the page. So I wonder if when they picked up a new translator, if it gets a little better. I want to go back and read this someday.
Other issues. Yeah. I think it's worth giving a shot. Like, it's a Niso Yisen work, and it's
and
getting reprints, so it's doing pretty well.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm very shocked that we called this one wrong.
I don't think necessarily we called it wrong. It is just not for us. This might just be one that, again, maybe it's more entry level than we think. Maybe it's the sort of like, oh yes, this makes 15-year-olds feel really smart when they read it, so they love it. And whereas we're 30 and it's like, wow, it's how you're not supposed to figure this out. It's impossible to figure out. It's a stupid puzzle.
Yeah, we're just bitter about not figuring out a puzzle. Yeah, exactly, that's true.
Yeah. More news. We got Nick and Lever, which we've talked about on this show, is ending September 12th. That's interesting. We just got that here in the West a couple months ago because somebody grabbed it and translated all of them. But I guess it's been going for probably 2 or 3 years over in Japan. So that's sad. I hope that author goes. And here's what I think happened. I think that blew up on Twitter. I think that author got a deal, and I think that author is going to be writing a new series in a magazine somewhere, and that's why they are stopping doing Nick and Lever. That's my guess.
I can imagine, and they are really funny, so I hope they keep
really
that sense of humor. I wonder. I bet it's that. It feels like that author had infinite ideas for Nick and Lever.
I felt the same way. I just did not feel like this guy was out of ideas or losing quality, or it's like a 4-page gag thing, like every time. So
right.
I think this guy got a deal. I hope it is. I hope this isn't just I'm done. But maybe he'll move on to something else. Maybe he wants to do something more story focused. I don't know. But yeah, I hope he doesn't lose his sense of humor. Very funny.
Agreed.
We mentioned earlier Dungeon Meshi's last chapter is next month. We've got, I think this month's chapter came out, 2 or 3 days ago?
Yeah, a few days ago.
Yeah, so 29 days or so, we will be done with that series, and we will be discussing that when it comes up because, yeah, that's a great one. Not even just a good one, that's a great one.
It is literally the best fantasy manga in my eyes. Actually, Berserk exists.
That's stuff. It's Berserk, Full Metal Alchemist is fantasy. It's like
I don't count FMA. That's but I think classic fantasy.
High fantasy is what I would call it. Yeah,
high fantasy. Yeah,
high fantasy is the sort of goblins and dwarves and elves.
It is the best D&D manga to ever exist for sure, though.
I know that I sent you the picture, but the artist, I think Ryoko Kui, I think is her name or their name. I don't remember. But anyways, they did some fan art, I think, of Baldur's Gate 2, where they drew like every character from it, and everyone was making jokes on Twitter about like, oh, they're ending in September because they're going to go and play Baldur's Gate 3 for 400 hours. So
you want to hear my crackpot conspiracy theory?
Yeah, what's that?
They've had these chapters completed for a month, and
they're already done. Yeah,
they're already done, and they're just submitting it and marathoning Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, the last chapter was not. There's nothing sort of super detailed, very just sort of down to earth.
Yeah.
Low, not low energy, but resolving things. So.
Yeah, tying up all loose ends, setting up where the characters are going to be.
Yep.
Good stuff all around.
Cool.
But, yeah.
Last thing on the news here, there was a Scott Pilgrim anime trailer. Did you see this, Scoutum?
I didn't see the trailer. Did they drop the trailer?
Teaser, I guess, like a 50-second teaser thing.
How did it look?
It looks like Scott Pilgrim on screen that's moving, which is good, I think. But so
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, Scott Pilgrim's one of the, I believe the author's Canadian, I want to say.
Yep.
One of the most, how do I put it? One of the most manga-influenced Western publications, right? Is what's the Usagi Yojimbo and Scott Pilgrim would be the two that I would put forward as like, these are literally just manga being published in the West. So
it is pretty much that. It feels very Western, but it has so much manga influence, like bleeding from it. I love Scott Pilgrim. I think that's a great read.
Yeah, and that's bringing back literally everyone from the live action movie, which I adore that live action movie. Like everyone is coming back to voice their characters. The director of it is coming back to be a producer on this anime. So yeah, super excited for that.
And I also think the live action movie was great. But I think for anyone who's watched it, you will enjoy the hell out of the show because I think the comics are even better.
The comics are better, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about what else we're doing this week. Here's what I did last week. I read the one-shot and the 4 chapters of Burn the Witch by Tite Kubo, the author of Bleach. This is good. This is fun. I like this a lot.
It's fun, yeah.
Yeah, I have no qualms with it. I would love to read more of it. I don't know if more of it would be as good as these sort of self-contained little chapters are, but especially the one-shot I thought was really great. Kubo's got a good style. And I think everyone who's probably read or seen Bleach knows this, but
yeah,
maybe not when he's drawing backgrounds. But hey, he drew backgrounds in this one, and they look really good, and they're really interesting. The setting's cool, the power stuff is cool. It's very shonen-y, but it's 2 female leads, which I appreciate a lot. The guy is sort of the damsel in distress, the sort of guy main character, but the 2 females take the lead and have the power. So I liked that a lot. Lots of cool stuff going on here. I liked it, and we got an announcement. I think we talked about it last week. Announcement that there's going to be more Burn the Witch coming. So, which is why I set out to read this. Kubo said that when I think the Bleach anime finishes, he's going to write more Burn the Witch, and we're going to get more anime at the same time or similar time. So, looking forward to that.
Yeah, and even when Bleach was at its worst and people were down on the series, no one could take away that Kubo was one of the best character designers, in the biz.
Yeah. This dude rocks. This guy, I guess I didn't really realize because I hadn't read a whole lot of Bleach. He's on the level of like a Horikoshi of like, yeah, every single character he puts on the page is fucking cool. There's like, he just like introduces a like, what is it? Like a group of like 7 like managers in this world, Burn the Witch. And you're just like, wow, all these people look really cool. I want to watch all of them kick ass. And you get to see one of them kick ass, and it's awesome. The dragon, the lore stuff was cool. I like this a lot more than I thought I was going to, but so super good.
Burn the Witch was fun. Yeah. I had a great time too.
Yeah. I liked it. I really like the 2 lead main characters also. So yeah, looking forward to more of this.
Yeah.
Cool. Tell me about Baldur's Gate 3. I got a picture of this guy because this is all I fucking see on Twitter is this dude and people memeing on him.
He's kind of the worst. But yeah, no, Baldur's Gate 3 is great. I'm just marathoning through it. It is a very, very good game.
Are you past chapter 1 or whatever it's called? My friends are like just now posting like, oh my God, I'm 45 hours and I just got through part 1 or chapter 1.
Hold on, let me tell you how many hours I'm in. I am in part 1 and I have played 53.6 hours.
Jesus Christ. That's the like amount of time it took me to beat Bloodborne. It's like 50 hours, right? To get through like a Soulsborne.
To be fair, like 15 of these hours were in co-op.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's still like 40 hours, and I'm not done with Act 1 yet. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I've been no-lifing this. Yeah, it's been insane. It's been really good. Seems
like a great game. Everybody loves it. I think I would love it. I just cannot dedicate that kind of time to a game right now. So.
No, I completely get it. I think long games like these takes a certain mood. You have to be in a certain mood, and
you have to be there for a lot of hours.
You have to be there for a lot of hours. Yeah, I think I wasn't into open world games for the longest time, and then I played Elden Ring, and I think Elden Ring, I said this before, but Elden Ring really just made me like video games again. It re-sparked the joy. So now I'm in the mood for these longer games again. But talk to me like a year ago, and I don't think I would have sunk. I wouldn't have beaten Tears of the Kingdom. I wouldn't have put as much time into this game. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Glad to hear it. I think that's our show, ladies and gentlemen, isn't it? Anything else you wanted to mention or bring up, Gautam?
No.
Cool. Let's skedaddle and get out of here. Hey, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you liked or enjoyed this podcast and you want to support us, go give us a like, go give us a follow, ring a bell, give a thumbs up. Those positive reinforcements are all we're asking. We like them. They're so easy to do. We promise we only publish 1 or 2 videos a week. We're not going to bother you, and we don't do shorts in case. Maybe we'll do 1 short. If you really want to help us out, feel free to head on over to the Patreon over at patreon.com/WGBmanga. You can hear some bonus episodes we've recorded, and Patreon has a free level, so you can subscribe there, get any updates that we post. Check me out on Twitter/x.com at WGB Manga. As always, thank you so much for being with us. Please come back next week.
Goodbye.
And don't forget to read more manga. Nope, did I put them in the wrong order? They're the wrong file type. Hold on. They're WebPs.
Those WebPs.
Yes, change it to a PNG. A WebP is awful.
True.
All right.